The clearest dynamic we have to deal with as people thinking about the future of the city is the polarization of the public conversation, the lack of collective idea of what the city is for. And we think that the streets, that kind of gigantic untapped resource of open space in cities really, is a place where we can really work to transform something that's been reserved for motor cars into something that's an amenity for the whole population, hopefully in a way that can be scalable to the whole country and beyond.
As countries wonder how to meet their carbon neutral promises, many have also begun to question the future of our cities. A popular model is the 15-minute city. It's a vision of a decentralized urban area where your daily needs are within a quarter-hour walk or bike from your home. It promises to cut greenhouse emissions and boost livability. But while Paris works on neighborhoods with a 15-minute radius, and Barcelona explores a similar idea, dividing areas into 9 block chunks, Sweden is taking the hyperlocal concept one step further.
The 1-minute city idea, of course, uses a buzzy-sounding phrase to talk about the even more local than the hyperlocal scale. The street exactly outside your front door or outside the door of a cafe or a business, and how that can be transformed to make additional amenity space, to make public spaces that didn't exist before.
This is the Street Moves project, and it allows communities to become architects of their own streets' layouts. It's led by 2 national government agencies, ArkDes, the National Centre for Architecture and Design, and Vinnova, the Swedish government's national innovation agency.
I think there's a sort of implicit critique in the project that questions residents' and citizens' role in planning processes. We have now these very large-scale formal planning processes in most Western countries that make it very hard for individual citizens to influence the outcome of urban change. But we know that citizens have really, really strong opinions, especially about their immediate environment. So that method of involving citizens with their hyperlocal, extremely expert knowledge on their environment, but getting that out of their heads and putting that on the table for designers, but also for agencies, national agencies and municipalities. We think there's something really, really valuable in that.
Unlike the 15-minute city concept, the Street Moves model isn't about offering every feature of a city at a hyper-local level. Instead, it turns patches of pavement outside our front doors into critical connecting spaces for communities. Through workshops and consultations, residents can control how much street space is used for parking and how much is used for anything else they can think of. It's already been rolled out experimentally at 4 sites in Stockholm, with 3 more cities about to join up.
The prototypes were designed by Bloomberg Design, an industrial design firm here in Stockholm. And the prototype that exists is a kind of deployable system which runs on 3 simple tracks which can easily be laid down on the street, and then sort of cassettes or sections of timber are laid on top of them. And those sections, they fit together and create a kind of boardwalk which can be leveled with the pavement, of course, and different kind of elements can be integrated into them, be it seating, opportunities for planting, cycle storage, electric scooter storage, and later many, many other things. When you make something in 3 dimensions by a designer who's skilled at making something beautiful, intriguing, different, in a material in this case that's not often seen on the streets in timber, it becomes a talking point.
Sweden has committed its cities to becoming carbon neutral by 2045, making a project like Street Moves that de-emphasizes car use more of a feasible prospect. But that's not all that Street Moves wants to address.
Of course, the transformation that needs to come to our cities because of the need to decrease our carbon use is the most urgent driver for all of the transformations that are coming, especially in Swedish cities. But we use that cover sometimes, and we use that huge, undeniable momentum to also have other conversations. And I think it's no accident and no coincidence that alongside the ecological driven transformation that's coming, there's also a socially driven one, be it Black Lives Matters, be it Me Too, be it large-scale citizen-led movements that are bringing new dynamics to the public conversation. That creates new demands for the city, and I think everybody's starting to realize, the ecological transformation that needs to come is just as much a cultural project as it is technical.
Streetmove's ultimate goal is ambitious: to rethink and make over every street in Sweden over the next decade. But while this kind of grand transformation might appear to only work for a country like Sweden, Long and the Streetmove's team are confident the concept can cross borders.
I think the future of scaling up this kind of project internationally will be about using the talent in those individual spaces for what they're good at. In Sweden, we have great skill in industrial design, so that kind of modularity, the materials and so on, really, really good at that. In another country, it might be a completely other set of skills. It might be that the designers take more of a lead on the public conversation than they might do here in Sweden. In the end, what I believe in is that the extraordinary talent that is around the world in design and in architecture can play a massively bigger role than it already does in that public conversation, in generating new ideas for how we use our city public spaces.